Today we will look at the tragic story of Minnie Merriman. And in particular, we're going to look at three aspects. Firstly, I'm going to give you a quick summary of the case. We'll then talk about the charged father, Christopher Rice. And then, of course, we will look at if Christopher is found guilty, while this would take place in a Scottish court. So we will touch on some potential sentencing and we'll look at some past cases. So as a quick brief summary, Minnie Merriman and her family travelled from Wakefield, England to Arbroath in Scotland for a beach holiday. Somehow, and again, the details of the case that we have are still limited, but somehow a police report was made to suggest that a young person had been found seriously injured on an industrial estate in Arbroath. This turns out to be, unfortunately, 9-year-old Minnie Merriman. Reports have suggested that Minnie and her family were camping on an industrial estate. Now, Minnie, along with two other members of her family, were rushed to Dundee Hospital, where, again, unfortunately, Minnie shortly passed away. A 35-year-old Englishman was charged with the murder of Minnie, and we later find out this to be Minnie's father. So who is Minnie's father? Well, Minnie's father is reportedly a 35-year-old male from Wakefield, and his name is Christopher Rice. And that's it. That's all the detail that we have on Minnie's father at the moment. Now, of course, the Scottish judicial system, they are known to keep evidence and facts of a case like this hidden. And again, the reason for this is they want a fair trial and they don't want to jeopardise any potential sentencing. Because if particular facts and evidence were out there for everybody to see, then Christopher Rice could argue that he's not being given a fair trial. Now, Christopher Rice is set to enter court in 4 days' time. Now, what happens if Christopher Rice is found guilty of this horrendous crime? Well, with this horrendous crime taking place in Scotland, Christopher Rice, despite being from Wakefield in England, would be tried in Scotland. He's been charged with murder, and so we'll base it on those facts. If he's found guilty of murder, the judge will impose a life sentence. And so in Scotland, how the judicial system works is that the judge would impose a life sentence with a punishment part of that sentence. And this would be a minimum term that Christopher Rice would have to serve. So to clear it up, although the judge would impose a life sentence, it's not necessarily fact that Christopher Rice would spend the rest of his life in incarceration. I've taken a look at some recent cases that are potentially similar to this case. Now, it's important to note that, again, we don't know the full facts of this case. We don't know if there's aggravated elements, we don't know if there's intent, and we don't know the severity of injuries caused. However, looking at recent cases that involve murder, and again, these are relevant precedent cases, the minimum term seems to be between 17 years and 35 years. There is a similar case, let's say, that happened in May 2026. Now, this is the Nicole Blaine case. Nicole Blaine was found guilty of murdering her 19-year-old daughter. She was given life in prison by a Scottish judicial system with a minimum term of 19 years. Another recent case that we can take a look at is Andrew Ines. Now, Andrew Ines was again a case that was from 2025. He was found guilty of murdering both the mother of his child and his daughter by a Scottish judicial court. He was given a life sentence with a minimum term of 36 years. So again, the minimum term by the examples that I've given you can differ a lot. And again, that depends on the facts and circumstances of the case. I'm going to be following this case as it seemingly will unfold over the next couple of weeks. If you're interested in following the case along with me, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this case.